Emergency in Conjugal Unit 4. All available officers respond. The body cam footage shows correctional officers rushing down the sterile hallway of Lakewood Correctional Facility. The timestamp reads 7:23 p.m., the moment everything changed. Officer Lydia Hernandez's voice shakes as she recalls what awaited them.
"I'll never forget what I saw when we got that door open. Blood everywhere. The victim on the floor, and him just sitting there covered in it, staring at his hands.
37 stab wounds, a makeshift weapon crafted from a metal bed frame. A bride of 7 months murdered during what should have been a routine conjugal visit. Just months earlier, these same prison walls witnessed a different scene. Marcus Delaney and Miranda Porter exchanging vows in the chapel, his hands gentle as he placed a simple band on her finger. Prison staff described it as touching, genuine, a rare moment of humanity in a place defined by its absence. How does love transform into such lethal rage? What revelation could drive a man to commit such violence against someone he'd vowed to cherish? She lied, Delaney told officers at the scene. This whole time, she lied. Have you ever discovered someone you trusted completely wasn't who they claimed to be? Have you felt that moment when the foundation of a relationship crumbles beneath you? For most, such betrayals end in tears. For Marcus Delaney and the woman known as Miranda Porter, it ended in blood. The truth? Miranda Porter never existed. The woman lying dead on that prison floor was actually Veronica Daniels, con artist, criminal, and the architect of an elaborate revenge scheme that would cost her life. If you're fascinated by the psychology of deception, the breaking points of human endurance, and the shocking ways truth can destroy lives, hit subscribe right now and activate notifications. Our channel explores cases that reveal the most disturbing aspects of human behavior, because understanding these stories might one day help you recognize danger before it's too late. This is Fatal Deception, the Miranda Porter case. Before Marcus Delaney became inmate number 47291 at Lakewood Correctional, he moved through life with a magnetic charm that both attracted and deceived. Former associates described him as the kind of guy who could sell ice to Eskimos, a man whose smile opened doors his criminal record should have kept firmly shut. His file painted a different portrait. 3 convictions for theft, 2 for assault, culminating in the armed robbery of a convenience store that earned him 15 years. Yet even in prison, Delaney's charisma remained his most valuable currency. Marcus always had this way with words, recalled former cellmate Terrence Wilson. He'd get stacks of letters from women every week. The guards would joke about his fan club. The Prison Pen Pal program began as a rehabilitation initiative, a way for inmates to maintain connections with the outside world. For most participants, these exchanges offered simple human contact. For others, like Delaney, they became lifelines to normalcy. Among the dozens of letters Delaney received in 2018, one stood out. The pale blue envelope contained photographs of a striking woman with auburn hair and green eyes, introducing herself as Miranda Porter, a pediatric nurse from Portland. I read about your case in an article on prison rehabilitation, her first letter began. I believe everyone deserves a second chance at redemption. What Delaney couldn't know was that Miranda had researched him extensively. She knew his case details, his projected release date, and most importantly, his suspected connection to $120,000 in missing robbery money. Their correspondence intensified rapidly. Weekly letters became daily. Phone calls stretched to the maximum allowed time. Miranda's messages displayed remarkable insight into Delaney's psychology, validating his grievances, sympathizing with his struggles, reflecting his worldview back to him. Prison psychologist Dr. Amelia Rodriguez explains, incarcerated individuals experience profound isolation. When someone offers unconditional acceptance from the outside, it creates an almost immediate emotional dependency. The relationship becomes idealized, existing in a vacuum without normal social checks and balances. For Delaney, Miranda represented everything prison had taken away: freedom, dignity, human touch. Her letters transformed his cell from concrete confinement to a gateway to possibility. Each envelope carried the scent of her perfume, a deliberate touch that neurologically linked her words to pleasure in his brain. These relationships often progress unusually fast, Rodriguez notes. The intensity isn't just emotional, it's a survival mechanism against the dehumanizing effects of incarceration. By their third month of correspondence, Delaney was convinced he'd found his soulmate. By month 6, he was planning their future together. By month 8, he was down on one knee in the visitation room, offering a ring purchased with 6 months of prison wages. What he saw as providence, Miranda had calculated with precision. January 14th, 2019, the date etched into Marcus Delaney's simple gold band. The prison chapel, typically reserved for Sunday services, transformed for an hour into a space of possibility. No flowers adorned the metal folding chairs. No music played as Miranda walked toward her groom. Just fluorescent lighting, concrete floors, and the watchful eyes of correction officers. It was actually quite touching, recalled Officer Michael Trent, who supervised the ceremony. Delaney had saved up for that ring from his prison wages. He wouldn't stop smiling throughout the entire ceremony. The prison chaplain kept the service brief, 20 minutes from "We are gathered here" to "You may kiss the bride." The kiss, limited to 5 seconds per regulations, became the first physical contact beyond hand-holding the couple had ever shared. Following their marriage, Miranda became eligible for the prison's conjugal visit program, monthly overnight stays in a separate facility designed to maintain family bonds and reduce recidivism. These apartments, sparsely furnished with a bed, small kitchen, bathroom, and television, offered temporary illusions of normality. Those visits changed him, noted Delaney's work supervisor. He became more cooperative, focused. His disciplinary incidents dropped to 0. Yet subtle inconsistencies appeared during these early months. Miranda's knowledge of nursing procedures occasionally faltered when speaking with a medical officer. Her accent shifted slightly between visits. She evaded questions about her childhood, redirecting conversations to Delaney's experiences. When Officer Hernandez mentioned these observations in passing, her supervisor dismissed them. "People get nervous in prisons. Not everyone's comfortable here." For 7 months, the visits proceeded without incident, each one bringing Miranda closer to her true objective. The woman Marcus Delaney knew as Miranda Porter had never been a pediatric nurse. She'd never lived in Portland. She'd never even sent him her real photo. "Veronica Daniels holds a master class in manipulation," explained Detective Lauren Powell, who investigated the case. 3 states, 6 identities, 12 fraud convictions, a career criminal who specialized in elaborate long cons. FBI files revealed Daniels' methodology. She selected targets strategically, researched them exhaustively, and constructed personas precisely calibrated to appeal to their psychological weaknesses. Her schemes typically targeted wealthy elderly men, exploiting loneliness for financial gain. But the Delaney case was different. It was personal. 5 years before their prison correspondence began, Daniels had been dating Thomas Ruiz, the owner of the convenience store Delaney robbed. Court records showed Daniels had provided Delaney's crew with insider information, security blind spots, cash handling procedures, and safe combinations. "The robbery was supposed to be clean," Powell explained, "but it turned violent. Ruiz was pistol-whipped into a coma, and Daniels vanished with the insurance payout. Investigators determined that $120,000 from the robbery was never recovered. Daniels believed Delaney had hidden this money and constructed an elaborate scheme to extract its location. The marriage gave her privileged access," Powell noted. "Conjugal visits provided privacy to apply pressure without witnesses." Most disturbing were the discoveries in Daniels' apartment, detailed files on 3 other inmates across different facilities. All shared striking similarities with Delaney's case. All had been convicted of robberies with missing proceeds. She was methodical, Powell said, creating fictitious identities, falsifying documents, manipulating prison security protocols. The level of planning was exceptional. Have you ever noticed warning signs in a relationship that you later wished you'd taken seriously? The red flags that seemed minor in the moment but proved meaningful later? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your insight might help someone recognize a dangerous situation before it's too late. Hit the like button if you've ever discovered someone wasn't who they claimed to be, and subscribe to join our community of true crime analysts who work together to understand these complex cases. The woman Marcus Delaney knew as Miranda Porter had never been a pediatric nurse. She'd never lived in Portland. She'd never even sent him her real photo. Veronica Daniels holds a masterclass in manipulation, explained Detective Lauren Powell, who investigated the case. 3 states, 6 identities, 12 fraud convictions. A career criminal who specialized in elaborate long cons. FBI files revealed Daniels' methodology. She selected targets strategically, researched them exhaustively, and constructed personas precisely calibrated to appeal to their psychological weaknesses. Her schemes typically targeted wealthy, elderly men, exploiting loneliness for financial gain. But the Delaney case was different. It was personal. 5 years before their prison correspondence began, Daniels had been dating Thomas Ruiz, the owner of the convenience store Delaney robbed. Court records showed Daniels had provided Delaney's crew with insider information, security blind spots, cash handling procedures, and safe combinations. The robbery was supposed to be clean, Powell explained, but it turned violent. Ruiz was pistol-whipped into a coma, and Daniels vanished with the insurance payout. Investigators determined that $120,000 from the robbery was never recovered. Daniels believed Delaney had hidden this money and constructed an elaborate scheme to extract its location. The marriage gave her privileged access, Powell noted. Conjugal visits provided privacy to apply pressure without witnesses. Most disturbing were the discoveries in Daniels' apartment. Detailed files on 3 other inmates across different facilities. All shared striking similarities with Delaney's case. All had been convicted of robberies with missing proceeds. She was methodical, Powell said, creating fictitious identities, falsifying documents, manipulating prison security protocols. The level of planning was exceptional. Have you ever noticed warning signs in a relationship that you later wished you'd taken seriously? The red flags that seemed minor in the moment but proved meaningful later? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your insight might help someone recognize a dangerous situation before it's too late. Hit the like button if you've ever discovered someone wasn't who they claimed to be, and subscribe to join our community of true crime analysts who work together to understand these complex cases. August 15, 2019. Security cameras at Lakewood Correctional captured Miranda Porter's arrival at 2:17 p.m. The footage shows her proceeding through standard protocols: ID verification, metal detector, pat-down search. Her expression remains neutral as she signs the visitor log. At 2:45 p.m., guards escort Delaney from his cell block to the conjugal visiting apartment. The security feed reveals a brief embrace, his arms wrapping around her waist, her hand resting on his chest. Their expressions suggest nothing unusual. The visit began like any other, confirmed Officer Rodriguez, who processed Delaney's transfer. He was in good spirits, excited to see her. For 4 hours, the couple remained inside the apartment without incident. At 6:32 p.m., according to power usage logs, the television was turned on. Channel 7 News was broadcasting a special report on romance scams targeting incarcerated individuals. The segment featured interviews with prisoners who had been manipulated by strangers claiming to love them. According to Delaney's statement, this broadcast triggered everything, explained Detective Powell. He noticed Miranda's unusual reaction, attempting to change the channel, becoming visibly uncomfortable with the content. This reaction prompted Delaney to test her. He began asking pointed questions about childhood memories she had mentioned in her letters, her first pet's name, her mother's favorite recipe, the street where she grew up. Details a real person would never forget. She kept getting things wrong, Delaney later told investigators. Little inconsistencies at first, then major contradictions. When I pressed her, she got defensive, accusatory. The questioning intensified. Delaney retrieved his Bible from beside the bed, opening it to reveal a hidden newspaper clipping, one showing Thomas Ruiz and a woman beside him. The woman looked nothing like Miranda, yet her reaction confirmed everything. The security cameras outside the apartment captured no sound, but at 7:05 p.m., they recorded Miranda backing away from Delaney, her body language shifting from defensive to confrontational. The mask had slipped. The game was over. When I showed her that photo, I knew, Delaney told investigators. Her face changed. She knew she was caught. The yellowing newspaper clipping had been Delaney's insurance policy, an article about the convenience store robbery featuring a small photograph of Thomas Ruiz and his girlfriend. The woman in the photo looked nothing like Miranda Porter, but everything like the person now standing before him. "You're Veronica Daniels," Delaney stated, as recounted in his confession. "You dated Ruiz. You helped us plan that robbery." Hallway security footage from 7:05 p.m. shows the visiting apartment door shaking with the force of raised voices inside. Though no audio was captured, lip-reading experts later analyzed the footage through the narrow door window. "She didn't deny it," Detective Powell explained. According to Delaney's testimony, which matches the lip-reading analysis, she laughed, said she'd been waiting for this moment. Daniels reportedly confessed everything: her identity, her connection to Ruiz, and her belief that Delaney had hidden the missing $120,000. She detailed how she'd constructed Miranda Porter specifically for him, using information from their mutual criminal associates. "She laughed at me," Delaney's statement read, "called me pathetic, said I'd fallen for her tricks like an idiot." The most damaging taunt came next. According to Delaney, Daniels mocked him with the knowledge that even if he reported her deception, no one would believe a convicted felon over her. "Who's going to take your word against mine?" she allegedly said. "I'll tell them you're making up stories because you're jealous of my outside relationships." For 18 minutes, the shouting continued, visible in the hallway footage as shadow movements and door vibrations. At 7:23 p.m., everything went silent. Prison security protocols dictate wellness checks for extended silence during conjugal visits, but staffing shortages that evening meant no officer was available to perform this check. The silence lasted precisely 12 minutes before the emergency alarm was triggered. 12 minutes in which rage transformed into lethal violence. At 7:35 p.m., Officer Hernandez's body cam captured the moment she entered Conjugal Unit 4. Blood saturated the thin mattress and spattered across the walls in an arc pattern consistent with extreme force. Daniels lay near the kitchenette, her body positioned face up, eyes open. It was methodical, noted forensic analyst Dr. Catherine Walsh. The attacker targeted vital areas, throat, chest, abdomen, with precision. This wasn't random violence. It was calculated. The murder weapon, recovered beside the body, had been fashioned from a metal component of the bed frame. Maintenance records later revealed the frame had been previously damaged and improperly repaired, leaving a 6-inch metal shard accessible by simply unscrewing a loose bolt. "The weapon required deliberate preparation," explained Dr. Walsh. "This wasn't grabbed in the heat of passion. It had to be methodically removed from the bed frame using considerable force and time." When officers entered, Delaney sat motionless on the edge of the bed, his prison-issued clothing soaked with blood. His hands rested palms up on his knees, his gaze fixed on them. He made no attempt to flee or resist when officers secured him. He looked up at me and said, "She lied. This whole time she lied," Officer Hernandez testified. His voice was calm, detached, like he was discussing the weather. The autopsy revealed 37 stab wounds, far beyond what would be necessary to cause death. Forensic psychologist Dr. Martin Rivera explained the significance. When we see wounds numbering above 25, it indicates profound emotional content. The attacker continues long after the victim is deceased, suggesting extreme rage, betrayal, or both. Blood spatter analysis determined that Daniels had been immobilized early in the attack, with the majority of wounds inflicted while she was already incapacitated. The precision of the strikes suggested Delaney maintained control throughout the attack despite his emotional state. This level of violence, Dr. Rivera concluded, represents the complete psychological collapse of trust. The investigation into Daniels' murder exposed critical security gaps throughout Lakewood Correctional Facility. The most glaring: how a woman with multiple fraud convictions passed background checks to marry an inmate. Her identity verification consisted of a driver's license check and basic criminal database search, explained prison security consultant Jeffrey Morgan. No fingerprint matching, no facial recognition, no cross-reference with other state databases. She presented false documentation, and the system accepted it without question. Equally troubling was the weapon's origin. Maintenance records showed the broken bed frame had been flagged 3 months earlier. Work orders had been generated, approved, and then marked completed without actual repairs. Budget cuts reduced our maintenance staff by 40%, admitted former warden Patricia Keller. Supervisors were pressured to close work orders to meet metrics, even when repairs weren't performed. The conjugal visit monitoring protocols also failed. Prison regulations required wellness checks every hour, but staffing that evening was 2 officers below minimum requirements. This case exemplifies systematic institutional failure, testified Department of Corrections Commissioner Robert Walsh. Verification procedures were insufficient, maintenance protocols were ignored, and supervision during visits lacked proper oversight. Do institutions bear responsibility for crimes that occur due to their security failures? Should prisons implement stronger identity verification systems, even at the cost of making family connections more difficult? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you believe institutional accountability matters in preventing similar tragedies, hit the like button and subscribe. Your engagement helps bring attention to these critical issues. Marcus Delaney's murder trial began with an unexpected strategy: temporary insanity. Defense attorney Raymond Costa argued that the psychological trauma of discovering Daniels' deception triggered an acute psychotic break. My client experienced catastrophic emotional collapse upon learning his entire marriage was a calculated fraud, Costa told the jury in opening statements. He was manipulated, exploited, and psychologically tortured by a professional con artist. This strategy collapsed when prison psychiatric evaluations revealed Delaney had shown no previous signs of mental illness. 3 prison psychologists testified he had consistently demonstrated rational thought and emotional regulation throughout his incarceration. The defense pivoted to a crime of passion argument, seeking a reduction to second-degree murder or manslaughter. They presented expert testimony on the psychological impact of betrayal trauma and emotional manipulation. Prosecutor Valerie Thompson methodically dismantled this narrative. The defendant had 18 minutes between discovery and murder, Thompson argued, pointing to the security footage timeline. 18 minutes to consider his actions. 18 minutes to call for help using the emergency button 3 feet from where he sat. Instead, he deliberately weaponized a bed component and committed murder with extraordinary brutality. The jury deliberated for 7 hours before returning with their verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. 2 weeks later, Judge Michael Harrington sentenced Delaney to life imprisonment without possibility of parole. As the sentence was pronounced, Delaney remained expressionless. His only statement to the court: "There never was any hidden money. That's the most twisted part. She destroyed both our lives chasing something that didn't exist." The murder at Lakewood Correctional prompted sweeping reforms across the state prison system. Within 6 months, the Department of Corrections implemented mandatory fingerprint verification for all visitors. upgraded background check protocols, and established a specialized unit to investigate potential identity fraud. This case exposed dangerous vulnerabilities, explained Commissioner Walsh. The new policies aim to protect both inmates and the public from similar manipulation. 3 weeks after the murder made headlines, the real Miranda Porter came forward. A pediatric nurse from Portland, she had reported identity theft 2 years earlier, but had no idea her persona had been used to seduce an inmate. My photos, my career details, even stories from my childhood, all stolen, Porter told investigators. The thought that someone used my identity to commit such calculated deception haunts me daily. Most disturbing were discoveries at Daniels' apartment. Investigators found detailed dossiers on 3 other inmates across different facilities, each convicted of robberies with missing funds. 2 of these men had already been corresponding with Daniels under different false identities. She targeted emotionally vulnerable men with similar criminal histories, explained forensic psychologist Dr. Elena Vasquez. Each case involved missing money she believed she could locate through psychological manipulation. The tragedy highlights a painful reality. Many victims of romance scams never report their experiences due to shame or fear of judgment. Their silence enables predators to continue finding new targets. Every 3 minutes, someone falls victim to a romance scam. While you've been watching this video, another person has been manipulated by someone they trusted with their heart. By hitting subscribe, you're not just following our channel, you're joining a community committed to exposing these predators and preventing more victims. Your comments about warning signs you've noticed in relationships could save someone from similar manipulation. Like this video if you believe awareness is the first step toward protection. Share it with someone who needs to hear this warning, because the next potential victim might be someone you love.